here, founder of Indulge Right Foods. Welcome to another episode of Indulge Right in the kitchen. As you can see, I have a dear friend of mine here in the kitchen today, and we're playing around. So this was supposed to be just cooking biscuits. It turned out to be a whole holiday party.
Hot chocolate.
So we got hot chocolate.
Almond milk.
And by the way, I got carried away, and I did not even introduce my guest in here today. I've got Angel in here with me.
Hi.
She's an amazing health coach. And we've got some chocolate. Cheers to that. I'm
no
going to add
dairy, no sugar, hot chocolate.
You're not going to mess it up, right?
No. It is the almond milk with dates and non-alcoholic vanilla, and then we have the cacao powder. Yes.
Now, you know there's a rum that's staring at me right now. So I'm going to mess it up in a minute, but I'll take a sip
drank
first.
mine all because it was so yummy. The trick is to strain it so that it's rich and creamy, and anyway, just a little side.
So, in this episode, we'll be making biscuits and gravy. And guess what? She brought the gravy.
Yes, no
and what else
gluten.
you bring?
No, and we brought some organic eggs, so we're going to have your biscuits, my gravy with a fried egg on top. Yes.
It's going to be a party.
Yeah.
So, we're going to start with Indulge Right Foods pie and biscuit flour blend. Again, this is specifically blended to give you kind of a flakier result. So, that's what we're going to use. And I will share the recipe down below with a link so you guys could have that as well. So, let's get started. I've got my flour blend in here. This guy has a little bit of some salt, baking powder, baking soda, the flour, and we're just going to add to it some butter, or you could use your favorite butter substitute, plant-based one. And I'm also using coconut oil instead of shortening. So, and that goes there. Hopefully that won't fall. You just blend it quickly in here.
So you break it down into the little bits, so that way this is what makes it flaky, right?
Correct. So ultimately you're breaking in the butter, right, or the fat.
Okay.
In the regular cuisines, being gluten-based, you do this so that you're not developing too much gluten. That's the whole purpose of it.
Got it.
So you're shortening it, so to speak. It doesn't make as much of a difference in the gluten-free baking, but still does. Because you have the substitute for that gluten, right? So the gum and whatnot. So you don't want to develop too much strength to it. But in the meantime, also you don't want to go to, you don't want it to melt too much. So you want to do it as fast as you can.
Okay, got it.
And make it into
kind of that's why you started it out with so cold, right?
Exactly. You could use a food processor and just pulse it a couple times. So you get kind of like a mini pea-sized little bits of
little bits.
butter.
Because when that bakes, then it's actually going to melt in the dough.
And it create that layering.
Oh, nice. Does that create like the air pockets? Is that what makes it so flaky?
When it melts and kind of technically the gluten part of the gluten substitute in this case it sets.
Nice.
So you end up with like bubbly or flaky little layers.
Wow. So who said if you go gluten-free that you can't have wonderful biscuits, right? And your flour, what I love is that it's a high quality flour.
Absolutely.
It's not like some of the flours that I've used that you can tell, like it doesn't feel the same quality as yours.
Plus we don't have, I don't believe that you have to have one. Now, even though we have the all-purpose flour for someone who doesn't bake or does one thing once a year, there's no point of buying 10 different flour blends. But I believe that there is a different blend for everything. Even when we cook regular or gluten-based products, we are mixing, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So you have the cake flour, you have the pastry flour, you have all-purpose flour, you have the bread flour, you have the high-gluten bread flour. So even with regular baking, you have different blends that is even simpler than gluten-free baking.
Yeah.
So just having one kind of blend fits all in the gluten-free baking, I don't feel like it works.
Well, and then this is also for pies too, right? So this, if they're making like your famous pecan pie recipe with your sauces, your caramel sauce, then this would be the flour that they would make the pie crust.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And you can find that in our on our page.
Yes.
In fact, there's a similarity between the pie and the biscuits
Oh,
to
nice.
some extent, right?
Yes.
In the pie, you're still breaking the butter. You're still adding or butter substitute. You're still adding some shortenings to it, and I'm like,
I'm all get in the picture.
but instead of buttermilk, you're using regular water, right?
Nice.
So in this case, we're not actually using buttermilk. We're using coconut-based buttermilk that I made up myself. So ultimately, just add some lemon juice or vinegar to it. So it's ultimately about 1/4 or 3/4 of a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar per cup of coconut milk.
Oh, okay.
And that ultimately becomes buttermilk.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
just
So
add
the
that.
lemon juice is what makes it
It makes
similar
it
to the
sourness.
buttermilk. Got it.
And then you just...
You said you need to compromise, right, for dairy.
Exactly.
And like you said, the butter, you can use the vegan butter. Like there's that macadamia butter that I was telling you about that doesn't have palm oil. It's a real high quality vegan butter. So they can find some really, really high quality butter substitutes also.
Exactly. So here's what I did. As we were chit-chatting, I've done too much
Of the liquid?
of the liquid.
So you
I have
need
more
more.
than a cup in here. So,
Okay, so
I did a little bit. It's going to be sticky,
Okay.
but not as sticky. So let's go ahead. It happens.
It
Just have to
happens.
remedy it.
This is what's fun about, right?
A bit more.
This is what's fun about being in the kitchen.
Yep. Because it's going to happen, so you better know how to fix it. A bit more.
And
Please.
isn't baking kind of like the whole putting your heart into it is just really having fun, right?
It is, but it's also kind of specific measurement as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, but when something happens, in this case, a
You
little
make
bit
it
of more
work.
water, you just make it happen, or a little more flour,
Is that good?
a little bit more.
I might know I'm
Oh, we're
being
getting
all
there.
scary.
No, you're good.
Because I know once I put too much, you can't take it out.
I know, then we'll end up having another
I
back.
know,
So that's the worst case scenario, right?
right?
So you
Wow,
see it's all
it's
coming
really
together.
yummy, yeah.
It is, and you want it to be soft too.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now,
Wow, that's pretty. You know what I noticed is it's not that yellow that it normally is when it's the butter. You know what I mean? Like all the butter in
or
the
if you're
buttermilk.
using margarine or
Yeah,
whatnot, so
yeah. It looks really clean and pretty.
more white,
Yes.
or it doesn't
So
have as
that's-
much color. So
Is that some of this flour?
yep, same thing. Just so we could dust it.
Yeah.
Now you could fold it a couple times. Because whatever flour you have in here,
It's really like airy, I noticed.
it's very soft. Like if
Yeah.
you touch it, it's really soft and
Yeah. So for some people who don't eat gluten, like me, who
or
hasn't,
me.
are you, and I haven't had biscuits in 7 years, this is like super exciting.
This is a treat for you.
Yes, it is a treat, and that's why I wanted to go all out and do the sausage gravy, biscuits and gravy, except we're not using pork, we're using grass-fed beef.
And how do you
And
compromise about the pork flavor?
so what we did was Susan DeGrucci actually gave me a really good tip where she said get those, I got a herb seasoning by Bragg's, and it has the rosemary and the thyme, and it has like 21 herbs, and so it totally mimics what sausage tastes like without having pork in it. So it's amazing. Ooh, that's really puffing up
So-
pretty, isn't it?
It's very soft.
Wow.
Some of you who swear by having the biscuits rounds, I break rules. So
I like that.
I don't want to look for the cutter, so I'm going to make it into squares
I
instead.
like that. Who says we need to follow the rules? Make our own rules.
So there it goes.
Perfect.
And again, you can see it's soft and sticky still.
Yeah. And you know what I
Oh.
noticed is it doesn't feel heavy.
It shouldn't feel.
Yeah, like it's just a real, like this is funny, but even the vibe of it, it's like just a real clean, healthy, it's good.
It's
Yeah.
gluten-free. Now, obviously, it's not keto, right? But nonetheless, this is for someone who's like you,
Yeah,
who haven't
clean
had it
eater.
for all these years.
Yeah,
And it's one of those that sometimes you just have to go for the nostalgic feeling.
yes.
Or life is not about deprivation,
Right, and that's the thing,
So-
right? Clean eating actually is our body was created to eat clean, natural, real ingredients.
Absolutely.
It's not about dieting. It's about giving our body fuel that it can actually know what to do with and to process.
And part of that is enjoying life sometimes.
Yes, feeding the soul.
Absolutely. So in this case, once again, because a lot of people are going to think like, okay, we're still eating biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not gluten-free, or it's not gluten-based, but it's still biscuit.
Right.
And that's true. But again, this is more about fulfilling that desire
Mm-hmm.
of eating
Texture.
something that you haven't had all these years.
Yep.
Or
Experience.
if you're someone who just started or just became gluten-free and it's as you're transitioning to the journey, you will have those cravings.
Absolutely.
And if you don't kind of fulfill them, you will definitely feel more deprived and kind of
Want to go to the bad stuff.
go back to it, or feel like you have to cheat once in a while so you could actually have that because you grew up with it, because you have that nostalgic feeling to it.
Yeah.
But you really don't. And that's kind of where this falls in. So you could actually do it, enjoy it, and not have to worry about it or suffer and sacrifice, right?
Yeah. And that's what's nice about your brand.
We're going down, by the way.
Yes. For how many minutes?
So we'll put it up for like 15 minutes first,
So 15 minutes.
and then we'll give it a couple more minutes afterwards and see how it goes.
At what temperature?
At about 425.
425.
So you could do higher than that, but I feel like gluten-free baking has to be a bit lower than regular because of the moisture content of it.
Oh.
It cooks a bit better.
Okay.
That's been my experience with that. So
Which professional
You could decide
pastry
for yourself.
baker? Good tip. I think we would like to listen to you.
you might want to, but again, you might want to experiment. So
Experience is valued very much so.
that's it. We'll cook it for another 10 minutes, and then we'll get to the
We're
good
gonna
part,
do the gravy and the eggs.
and then we'll eat. And here it comes.
So pretty, golden, totally smells good.
Crunchy on the outside
Crunchy on
and
the
creamy
outside.
on the inside. So we'll give it another
Yummy.
minute, and then we'll start dishing up. Actually, she is
Create
going
the
to dish
gravy.
it up.
So
You
we
got
have to
everything
show
ready
you the
for you.
gravy. So we used grass-fed ground beef, and there's actually a plant-based gravy that I got from Sprouts. It just had like cauliflower, and it was like all really super high quality ingredients. So I used that as the base, and then I used a little flax milk to thin it out a little bit, and then I seasoned it up like I told you with those herb seasonings and some salt and pepper. And so this is what we're going to put over the biscuits. And then we have a fried egg. Yes, you cannot have biscuits and gravy without a fried egg. Yes.
All right. So now that we could actually touch the biscuits, we're ready to go. See how they're nice and flaky,
Pillowy.
pillowy, crunchy outside. So
Smells
shall we keep
yummy.
the top on the side and we just
Yeah.
top them off? See there?
Oh, my
Nice and
gosh.
steamy.
And you ended up baking them for
About 18 minutes.
18 minutes. 18 minutes, yeah. So
All right,
depending
so
on the
there's that.
size, right? Because if someone makes them a little bigger,
Obviously,
then
it's
the
going
size
to
would
take
be
a longer
different.
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you have to play with the time a bit more, depending on the size of it, but more or less about 20 minutes or so.
So we're gonna drape the gravy
Ooh,
on
that looks
here.
good.
So now, when I was a kid, my granny made this with the lard, right? Like Crisco lard, pork, high fat, super crazy, but delicious. And so we wanted to recreate something healthy, clean, life-giving. That's what inspired today. And so and then we have the fried egg. We're just going to put right on top there. Let's see how good we can get at picking that up. Oh my gosh.
That's going to be messy.
Yeah, sausage, biscuit, breakfast sandwich.
I want to see you handle that.
Oh my gosh, you want me to embarrass myself, right? Okay,
And you're not embarrassing yourself. That's your
first
thing.
of all, the whole thing is the yolk. So Let me break the yolk. Do you see it?
You said you haven't had this for how many years?
7 years.
There you go.
7. The biscuit, haven't had a biscuit in 7 years. My mouth is watering.
It's all
I
yours.
have not attempted the gravy. This was my first attempt at the gravy.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's see, going in. Oh my God. That is delicious. You guys see it? The messier,
Bam.
the better. Now you got to get a shot of you. Come on, get in there.
I was hoping to just skip that, but it's not happening. I guess.
You're the one to thank for all this. There you go. Nice, nice. See the goo, guys. See the goo. Thank you for watching, and you have to go out and get your biscuit flour. Seriously, for the holidays, Christmas morning, we do Christmas breakfast. This is going to be what is on my Christmas breakfast. You got to come in
Now,
here.
do I have eggs on my face?
No.
Not yet. Hopefully you guys won't see it either.
No.
So this was amazing. The gravy is really good. And the eggs, I love kind of a halfway cooked egg yolk. It's really great. So I'm glad you came in today.
Thank
we
you.
had biscuit and gravy. Now, some of the people in the South probably will be like, you can't make biscuit without lard.
Yes, we can.
But hey, we're trying. We're trying, all right?
No, we can, and we did, and we conquered. So let me just say, yes, you can.
All right. Awesome, everybody. This was great. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for
this was
inviting
awesome.
me.
And we're going to finish our biscuit and sausage and eggs.
Yes, bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.